Hi there, this is Datila with 3 Inches of Wrestling, being the Wrestling Time Post Show. And for tonight, I'm reviewing Impact Wrestling. Alright, so Impact Wrestling actually started off with Dina and Joe Dorian backstage before their match. Dina saying that he hadn't heard from Eric and figured that they would have to go alone, and that he thought that maybe this was a test and a chance to prove themselves. If you guys recall last week, Eric Young was not happy that Dina took it upon himself to put Joe Dorian in a match against Josh Alexander because Eric Young said that when under his watch, Joe Dorian was undefeated and a feared man in wrestling. But now Joe Dorian is no longer undefeated. He lost to Josh Alexander. And Eric Young was not happy with Violent by Design. So they come out, and it looks like it's going to be a 3-on-2 handicap match. Josh Alexander and the Motor City Machine Guns versus Joe Dorian and Dina. But just as the match is about to start, Eric Young comes out. And it seems like the chemistry between Violent by Design was a little off. Like, they were not on the same page. They were not. Like, at one instance, Eric Young was yelling at Dina, and that distraction, I guess you can say, so to speak, cost him because it allowed Motor City Machine Gun to take advantage of that. And what I really like about the finish about this match is that you had Alex Shelley doing the Motor City stretch to Dina, and then you had Josh Alexander putting Eric Young on an ankle lock. Both men tap out, but Dina taps out before Eric Young. So Josh Alexander and the Motor City Machine Guns win this by submission. So now it seems like there's friction in Violent by Design, and I don't know if they're going to split. I don't know if they're going to find a way to get through this, or if we're going to have a feud between Eric Young and Dina. I don't know. But what will happen after the match was pretty interesting. So Chris Sabin handed Josh his title, and he would not let go. He held on for a few seconds, and he was looking at it. And then Alex Shelley looked at the title too. So that they're probably hinting that they want an opportunity at the Impact World title. More on that later. We get a Killer Kelly vignette, which the first one played last week. Speaking to Steve Fall of SCS Scoops, Killer Kelly revealed that she's actually been under contract with Impact, and she explained her absence. So she said that the same day she wrestled, she got a deal, and she's been under contract for the past 2 years, actually. She goes on to say that the reason why she hasn't appeared on Impact since November of 2020 was because of the good old United States. She says it was legalities. It was a very tedious process, which Impact dealt with it wonderfully, she says. She goes on to say Impact took care of everything, but it was a horrible process. But they were wonderful about it. She goes on to say, after they offered the contract, I had to go back to Portugal. Then I got stuck in Portugal, and they did everything in their power to get me out of Portugal. It was a visa process that started in Portugal, and then it didn't pan out. Then I had to come to the United States and start all over again. It was a whole process. But finally, I can say that I'm a part of Impact, and I can finally work, and I'm excited. So still, there's no official date to when she's going to debut. We just keep getting the vignettes. And I'm actually pretty excited to see her and see what she can do, what she'll add to the Knockouts division. So like I said, we only got a little bit of a tease last time, so I'm really excited for her debut. Then we get Steve Maclin versus the Cowboy James Storm. And the crowd is behind James Storm. They're chanting for the Cowboy. So it seems like at first Maclin has the advantage over James Storm. But of course, like, James Storm turns it around on him. Maclin, though, like, he's as vicious as always. And, like, we still never got an answer as to why he was in Moose's locker room. Oh, let me backtrack a little bit. This started last week because James Storm went to go find Moose, but he found Steve Maclin in Moose's locker room. I have to say, one of my favorite spots in this match was when James Storm did the Hurricanrana, or should say Super Hurricanrana, off the top rope and then elbow dropped Maclin. And poor James Storm went face first into the exposed top turnbuckle, and Steve Maclin was victorious in this match. Then afterwards, the lights went out and Sami Callihan appeared, but obviously Steve Maclin saw it coming because Sami Callihan was in the ring and Steve Maclin was like on the ramp. Then we get a backstage segment with the Motor City Machine Guns, and this plays into what happened earlier in the night. So Chris Sabin approaches Scott D'Amore, basically saying that he felt something deep in his heart and soul, and that Josh may not be champion had Chris Sabin not suggested to him to invoke option C. So Scott D'Amore basically tells Chris Sabin that Impact doesn't give opportunities, they earn opportunities. And so he basically suggests why not have Chris Sabin versus Alex Shelley next week, and with the winner facing Josh at Emergence. It's Machine Gun versus Machine Gun. So it should be a good match. And I don't know who to pull for. Do I pull for Chris Sabin or do I pull for Alex Shelley? Who are you guys pulling for? Let me know in the comment section down below. Then we get Chelsea Green versus Mickie James. This match has been brewing for the longest. If you guys recall, Mickie James and Chelsea Green were friends when she was knockout champion. Then Chelsea Green turned heel by turning on Mickie James. She had her husband Mick Cardona attack Mickie James. Then at Multiverse of Matches, it was the Mick Cardonas versus Nick Aldis and Mickie James, which Nick Aldis and Mickie James ended up winning. And so Deonna Purrazzo was banned from ringside thanks to Gail Kim, who made that stipulation last week. So, like, Chelsea Green tries to be sneaky during this match. She tries to grab a fistful of Mickie James' tights, but the ref catches her the first time. The second time, after she counters the Bulldog, she puts her feet on the rope while she pins Mickie James, and the referee fails to see that. So overall, it's a good match. I actually really like the little throwback to Trish and Mickie when at the start of the match, Chelsea Green kisses Mickie James and Mickie James kisses her back. That so reminded me of the Trish Stratus Mickie James feud. All right, then afterwards, we get a backstage segment with Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary, and this basically leads to an Undead Realm segment. If you guys recall that last week, Rosemary said she wanted to visit the Undead Realm to try to rescue Havoc. So they visit the Undead Realm, but before they go, Rosemary is upset with Taya Valkyrie because she's late. And so Rosemary's trying to basically tell Taya that she needs to follow her directions and they're going to get Havoc and just get out. And like Taya freaks out and Rosemary tells her not to worry because she's not on the menu. So Taya sees this light and she follows it, and she ends up bumping into Havoc, or so we think. So Rosemary follows her into there, and Taya tells her that she wants to meet Jessica. And she has this pink hair and she's got like perfect white teeth. So I'm very interested to see what this gimmick turns out to be. Mind you, Havoc's full name is Jessica Havoc, but she only goes by Havoc. But now she's being called Jessica? Talk about a multiverse. I'm just kidding. All right. So next we get a Bryan Myers segment, who is digital media champion, Gujar, who tells him that he won his match against Johnny Swinger. And then Bryan Myers basically tells him he looks great, he's got great upper body, but he needs to get the blue check mark, which I'm assuming he means on Twitter. Yeah, so Bhupinder Gunhara has a Twitter, but he's not blue check mark. So Bryan Myers is basically telling him to get that blue check mark. If you guys recall, like digital media, it's like social media, like he doesn't have that blue check mark on Twitter, so it makes sense that Bryan Myers is telling him that. Then we get Tenille Dashwood versus Masha Slamovich. So this was a squash match. I mean, Tenille Dashwood, she kept dodging Masha for as long as she could, but Masha just came at her. She hit her with the dragon screw and then the snowplow, and it was over. And she's going around like handing photos. So first it was Alicia and now Tenille. I think the next one might be Giselle. I don't think Giselle's going to be able to escape Masha for much longer. So we'll see. Then we get Speedball Mike Bailey segment, who's basically responding to what Diener did last week. Diener and Joe Doering attacked Speedball Mike Bailey and Alan Angels after their incredible match. Mike Bailey basically saying that he's going to defend his belt against anybody who wants to fight. And that's gotten a lot of attention. And then he tells that if Diener wanted his attention, all he had to do was say so. And that next week we're going to have Mike Bailey versus Diener for the X Division title. Then we get a quick, really quick backstage segment with Mickie James. Basically, she has her suitcase and she's leaving. And Mickie James says, "You're only as good as your last match." And she claims to be going home. So I don't know what this means for Mickie James. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard any rumors or any news as to if she's leaving or maybe this is kayfabe. I don't know. So the main event is Honor No More. It's Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, Kenny King, and Eddie Edwards versus the Bullet Club in the form of the Good Brothers, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay. So before the match even starts, Heath attacks Vincent on the ramp, and it's a hit and run. So this is a good main event. I actually like the feud between Bullet Club and Honor No More, and I like their chemistry. I think that both teams have good chemistry. However, a brawl broke out in the middle of the match, and Bullet Club threw Honor No More out the ring. But when they isolated Chris Bay from his partners, Chris Bay was trying to make that tag, and he did, but the ref didn't see it because he was focused on Honor No More, and that allowed Honor No More to take advantage on Chris Bay, and the ref was trying to get Doc Gallows to get back outside. So in the end, they try to hit the Magic Killer on Matt Taven. Kenny King distracted the ref. Maria gave Doc Gallows a low blow, which low blow was to Doc Gallows was payback because the last time the Good Brothers fought OGK, Mike Bennett accidentally speared Maria because of the Good Brothers. And so that was definitely payback. Eddie Edwards hits Doc Gallows with the Boston Knee Party, and then Matt Taven ends up pinning Doc Gallows. It's interesting that it's Taven and that he's the one that pins Doc Gallows. So now that Taven pinned Doc Gallows and the Good Brothers are the tag team champions, does this mean that Mike Bennett and Matt Taven are going to get an opportunity to face the Good Brothers for the tag titles? I hope so. I think we're at the point where Honor No More needs to start winning some gold. However, they themselves are, much like Violent by Design, are also dealing with their own friction. I mean, PCO was almost out last week, and luckily for him, he won the match. But I still think at some point, Honor No More is going to turn on PCO. Tonight was a good show. Very good show. Solid show. But I give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. It's a good show. There's not really much that I dislike. I get why they had the squash match. It wasn't the strongest match of the night. But so, it makes sense. It made sense. Because Masha Slamovich is supposed to be a dominant knockout, so makes perfect sense. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for your continuing support. I'll see you guys tomorrow after AEW Rampage. Have a great night. Bye.